Today, we're going to learn how to play the London system from the white side by a player you might never have heard of. He is having the tournament of his life. I mean, check out all these players he's beaten. On his road, on his route to the World Cup semi-finals. Part 1, we're going to see his game against Santosh Vidit, a top player from India. But in part 2, we're going to see him take on Magnus Carlsen in the semi-finals of the FIDE Chess World Cup. So, how do we play the London system from maybe someone you've never heard of? Nijat Abasov, the tournament of his life, rated 2632. Let's take it from the top. This is in the quarterfinals. d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, and now bishop f4. This is the London system. You get the bishop out early to f4, and one of the best ways to play against London is pawn to c5. You strike in the center, white defends. Knights out, look out for this setup in your own games where the two knights defend each other. e6, black makes sure bishop defends the pawn, and now c3. You want to make sure, if you play the London setup, you play pawn to c3, and then you set up this pyramid. Bishop e7, and now many ways to continue. Maybe the bishop comes out, the knight comes out, turns out bishop now comes to h2, and guess what? Vidit plays bishop d6. You guys might be thinking, what on earth has this top player from India just done? Why has he gone bishop here, bishop here? It's because you can't go bishop here now. Take, and this pawn is actually really weak. Even this, queen to d6 to hit the g3 pawn. If we just go back a tiny bit, you guys might be thinking, well, hang on, why didn't he just go bishop here? Because now you go bishop back to g3. If the capture happens, the rook is actually in the game. This is a fine detail at the highest level. This is opening theory at the top. Just one little move means Vidit can actually move the bishop again. So what happens now? Take. Do you remember a few moves ago I said it's very important to have a pyramid pawn center in the London system, but Abasov actually gets rid of the pawn center. Why? Because now he gets the bishop out. Why? Because there's a different pawn break coming up. These two are possible. And you won't believe this, but Vidit, one of the best players in the world, he actually retreats the bishop. Turns out in this line he really wants to get rid of this bishop on f4. So now the bishop's come off. White can castle, but queen c2 first. Just lining up the queen and bishop. This is called a battery, where they are both lined up on the same diagonal. Knight e5 offering a trade. When I saw this position, I was thinking, why didn't he just go e4? Just trying to trap. Just trying to fork two pieces. It's because after e5, white strikes with e4, and this capture can happen. And now there's an amazing bishop in the center. The rook can actually hit the queen with tempo. White's doing well. You can't castle, because you just lose a pawn. So let's just go back a few moves, back to the game. Vidit actually played knight e5, offering a knight trade. They come off, and now castle. Castle is possible. Just castle Vidit. But he was fearing this pawn break. Look out for these breaks in your own games in order to bring all the pieces to the party. A capture can happen, and now we've got this amazing starfish bishop hitting the pawn. Even the rook can come here. And what's the point of this move? You actually stop the bishop coming out. White actually has a fantastic position here. That's why Vidit did not castle. Let's just go back a tiny bit here. Pair of knights come off. e4. This is the pawn break. Because in the London system, when you don't have your pyramid, you need to open up the position in a different way. And e4 is the way to go. A capture happens. And now Vidit actually chose not to trade knights. Rook e1 facing the queen. Rook d1. Couple of rooks, just too dangerous. Key moment here. Why didn't he just castle? It's because this bishop is so dangerous. This bishop and queen battery, the knight actually plays this move. You can't go queen here because the knight will take it. And the point is, wherever the queen goes, you will lose that pawn with check. That's why black is in a tiny bit of trouble. Let's go back to the game. These are all tiny details in the London. So rook d1, turns out Vidit actually castled queenside. Drop the bishop back, so then the rook is in the game. Queen d2. It's this move is very difficult to make, putting the queen on the same line, but the point is to go c4 to hit the knight. This rook could have some nasty attacks on the queen. That's why Vidit got out of the way with queen to c7. The knight comes into c5, h6, just stopping the queen coming to g5. But we now hit the knight in the center. It drops back, and now the queen redeploys itself on c3. Beautiful square. So it's move 22, and from this point forward, Abasov delivers a masterclass. The moves he makes are just so simple because he just gets the pawns rolling. So first, let's deal with this. Queen c3 hits the pawn, knight defends it, and now can you see on the left? We have a queenside majority where you have more pawns than your opponent. And the convenient thing is, the inconvenient truth is black's king is on the left. You just push. Green arrows, push. Blue arrows, they didn't even push. They did not even happen in the game. There was no time. Pair of rooks come off. This is what tends to happen when you're feeling the pressure. Why not swap a few pieces off? So then your opponent has less pressure. But so what? Pair of rooks come off. The pawns are still on the board. Queen, knight, bishop. Push, hit the bishop, it drops back. And now you push 3 against 2 on the left. 3 against 2 on the queen side, and the king is here. Knight goes back to b3. Why? Key move. It's actually, one other reason is stop the queen coming into d4. So then now you push your pawns. So here, actually a key moment. Why not offer a queen trade? Let's have a look. Why not offer a queen trade here? Queen a3. Oh my gosh, why? So queen defends the knight, and then we get the pawns rolling. Okay. Right. I've learned something. Let's go back a tiny bit. Knight drops back. Push. Good move from black, stopping the bishop moving, but now the white queen comes in to f8. It's not only that, you just get the pawns rolling. This game, I mean the second part of the game, from move 22 onwards, I mean, Abasov makes it look too easy. Makes me want to play the London. It's just a simple, good opening. b6, doesn't matter. We take, and then we come through anyways. Now 2 against 1. Check, and cool zigzag pattern. The king moves, then we pick up the pawn. We just pick up the pawn. Check, hitting both. Now, you guys might be thinking, why not here? Cool move here. b6 is possible, but then the queen comes back, so that move. Hitting the knight, if it moves, now you come here. Just want to show you a really cool tactic. That is checkmate. Okay, so what? I drop the queen back, maybe I defend a little bit. No, it's called a deflection, where you don't want this queen to be here anymore, so you just put bishop here. The queen moves, and then that is checkmate. Really cool pattern, which I thought was worth showing. Let's go back a tiny bit. Back to the game. Check, check. You win the knight, except bishop there defends the knight. The king is too weak. Check. Zigzag. Check. The queen can come to g8 later. Push. This was the idea we mentioned already. Queen here, push the pawn. If we look at move 22 onwards to move 37, I feel Abasov has done nothing special. And he's just taken down one of the best players in the world, Santosh Vidit from India. The queen actually comes back to help in the defense. Do you remember a long time ago, I was talking about this? White was the one rolling down the pawns, but black hasn't even got his attack started. Check. King e7. If you go here, it's actually the same winning move, so I'm not going to spoil it. King e7, you're going to assist the pawn, you push, you block, but the funny thing is you can't block. Deflection, which is actually the move I mentioned earlier. You just go bishop b5. If you take, then you get a queen, assisted by the other queen. So in this moment, there's actually no good move. Bishop f7, check first. Check, doesn't matter. These are called spite checks, where your opponent throws in these checks, but nothing changes. g3 only move. Bishop f7, mistake given, doesn't matter. Vidit, very nice, allowing a beautiful finish. You just get a queen. You don't even need to move this queen. You get a queen. Why? Because all of a sudden it's mate. I mean, how cool is that? You might be thinking I'm being a bit too generous, just giving a double exclamation mark for checkmate. Well, why not? Why not give a double exclamation mark for the end? The funny thing is, it is level, but it is checkmate. So what happened here? Action replay, bishop f7. Once you get a queen, if you take, you take. But here, the square is now not guarded anymore. That's why it is mate. Really cool game. Part 2, we're going to see Abasov, the sensation of the World Cup, take on Magnus Carlsen. What happened here? It's the same opening. That's the point of this video. Today we're going to learn how to play the London system by a player you might never have heard of, Nijat Abasov from Azerbaijan. Same opening. What does Magnus Carlsen play against London? He copycats. This is called the copycat variation. Bishop's out. It's like, well, you can play to London, so can I. E3, copycat, copycat, same thing. The first 5 moves by both sides are exactly the same. Abasov now goes c4. One idea is for the queen to come out. Magnus actually now changes the structure by capturing in the center and now offering a trade. Do you remember this move in the first game? Vidit kept offering this trade. Now, one way to play for an advantage is you do not trade. You do not want to make this trade because black has so much central control. No, you do not trade in this position. You keep it flexible. And when I say flexible, I just mean you put a knight in the center, you create chances. This is a blunder because you get forked. And you do not want to trade the other way because you actually lose that bishop. That knight doesn't have a good spot. And now you get forked. E4 is coming. So do not trade in the center. Magnus plays a really good move because he's got less space. One great strategy is to trade. Knight in the center. F3, you hit the knight. Pair of knights come off. So if you hit me, I can hit you. I'm going to put a question to your knight. It now captures. So we have this endgame where queen, bishops, what, 6 pawns each? 7 pawns each? So much can still happen. By the way, Abasov has to win with white or else he is out of the World Cup. He will lose the semi-final match. So he has to win this. E4, hit the bishop, it drops back, and now rook d1. Finally, Magnus gets a chance to trade the London bishops off, but this pawn is a bit weak, so what does Magnus do? Drops it back, and now king f2. What is this move? I was listening to the very high-level commentary between Simon Williams and Tanya Sachdev. King f2, what's the point? If you play a normal move, you actually give white the option to go h4. That is the tiny difference. Keep the rook there, so then there's some attacking options. But Magnus was maybe not going to castle kingside because of this option. So fascinating for Abasov to put the king here. I would have just played a normal move like castle. The reason I would castle is because there's so many pieces in the game. King to f2 played. Queen here, you hit the bishop, it drops back. Queen here, you pin the pawn to the king. The queen now drops back. Just break the pin. Magnus now castles, because if he castled the other way, I think this is an option. Here, maybe you double as well. There's some attacking options. Remember, white has to win this game, or else white is out of the World Cup. Let's go back a tiny bit. Castle, rook d2, and all the rooks are stacked on the d file. There's pressure on the d4 pawn. That is the central point. Magnus now plays a wonderful move. Now, this bishop c move, I don't really understand. I think maybe if black does nothing, you get a bit of space. I think that's the point, or else why put the bishop there? Let's just go back a tiny bit. Brilliant move here by Magnus, which looks impossible. Sam Shankland, top American grandmaster, said, if a move looks impossible, can you find a way to play it anyway? This pawn looks like you can't play it because we are controlling that square with the pawn and the queen. So Magnus plays it. Brilliant move to break the pressure. If you take, you lose. Check, take. Check, take, check, and you lose the bishop. Oops. Wonderful combination by Magnus to really just break the pressure, to liquidate the pressure. Take, take. A3, hit the pawn. Now, one way is actually to tuck the king back so it defends, but white chose g3, and now rook e7, hit the queen, it goes to c3, and now why not? Just start some attack. Start some attack. You cannot take or else you lose. You cannot allow this. No way. Just keep the structure fixed. But white has to win. Open up the center. Defend. Check. Take. How can you win this against Magnus? Rooks each, bishop each. But there's an absolutely brilliant combination coming up, which I should have said earlier, because then it will attract more views to watch up to this point. Yeah, I really should have said that earlier. That was silly of me. Brilliant endgame motif, and Magnus might be in big trouble. Okay, let's just get there. Boring position. Rooks each, bishops each, so what? Pair of rooks come off. Okay, now what? Okay, now what? Yeah, okay. It's even more boring. 3 each. Watch this. Watch this transformation coming up. Here we go. It looks like it's going to be a draw. Abasov can't win. He's out of the World Cup. Watch this moment. Magnus actually becomes a little bit ambitious, and here it is. It looks like nothing's happening at the moment. Here we go. D6. If you play king b4, you lose. That's the... Oh, God. Let me get rid of that. Ah, who cares? I'll just black it out. And then the viewer can have a go. Right. Let's go for this. Alright. There is a brilliant move here for white. And it looks impossible. It looks like the worst move in the position, and you win. You want to get this pawn advanced. But you can't at the moment because the bishop's in the way. So that's the clue. You guys have 5 seconds. I highly suggest you pause the video now to have a go. Because if you see this tactic, then it'll transform your tactical ability. Because now you think, oh my gosh, this tactic is actually possible in the endgame. Now, I'm going to remember it. You guys have 5 seconds. If you guys can't see it, don't worry, I'm going to show you anyway. What's the winning move? Force it home, bishop to c4. The impossible looking move wins. If you take, you can't push, you just shut the door. It's just closing the door. And you can't get back in time. Wow. And Magnus sees the only way to draw absolutely brilliant king c4. Why? Abasov still plays the brilliant looking move. You go check. Force the king back just a tiny bit and then you take. Why? Because it's not enough. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. It's an absolutely incredible moment in the endgame. I mean, how close is this? d7, you have to take it. Okay, if the king is close enough, you lose. Push the pawns as a distraction. Is this enough for Abasov to win? Well, you're holding it here. If the king can ever grab f6, you win, but the pawns are rolling. This is a decoy. It's just in time. How on earth is Magnus going to draw this? That's how. You keep an eye on the f5 pawn. Why? Because whatever capture happens, you're going to take the final pawn and then you cannot win with a bishop against a lone king. Push. Push, and now winning move. Sorry, not winning move. What am I talking about? b3. The drawing move. You can never take the pawn or else you get queened. And that's it. All Magnus has to do is make sure the king is always on this pawn. King e4. Take. There's nothing Abasov can do. Take, take. Magnus even gets a queen for some reason. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Draw. Draw. What a game. What a fight. Absolutely nail-biting game. Abasov beat Vidit in style. Against Magnus, he had to win, but now he is out in the semi-finals. What a sensational tournament by Nijat Abasov from Azerbaijan. The cool thing is the World Cup is also happening in Baku. Getting a lot of home support. Welcome to the FIDE Chess World Cup. All the show notes for these 2 games are in the bottom. They will be the top comment for people to look back. If you want to refer back to the key moments, to the timestamps, I'm giving you the chance. Welcome to the FIDE World Cup. I'll see you later.